Welcome to Sebastian Practice Sessions. We practice our motorcycle slow speed operation skills weekly here in Sebastian, Florida, using Robert Simmons' Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle 9 exercises, which contain invaluable road skills. Everyone is welcome regardless of skill level or riding experience. We narrate through the exercises so you can get a clear understanding of the intent of each exercise, our individual challenges with each one, and where we are looking to improve. We always have a great time, support each other, and get a little bit better every time we practice. We hope you enjoy this session, and we hope you pick up a useful nugget or two. Thanks for joining us.
We're getting set up for exercise 58. It's exciting today because we have Andy, our North Carolina Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle ambassador, down here with us today, and his girlfriend Michelle. They traveled down to see family and they're stopping in for a practice session with us, so that's going to be super exciting. We have Mike from Vero, we have Rich, and we have Warren from Melbourne, and myself and Mike. So we have a really good crew. We're going to set up the exercises like we did last week. There's a camper here in our normal spot, so we're going to move the cones over a bit. It actually worked out better last week when we did that, and it gave us more cones for exercise 5, the single serpentine, and it put the cones on the opposite side of us, which is changing things up a little bit for doing your exercises. It's always good to change things up a little bit and not do everything in the same direction. So I think that's a good idea to do that. Change things up a little bit in your exercises. And we've also added in doing the previous exercise when we're doing the current exercise. So what I mean by that is when we're doing exercise 5, the single serpentine, instead of just going back in line and waiting your turn, you can do exercise 4 again and then get back in line. So we're going to double up on some of the exercises. We're going to make 2 U-turns. So when you do the U-turn, you can come out, make your turn around, do another U-turn. That stuff might not be on the camera, but it certainly will be great for extra practice. So maybe we'll set up exercise 6 a little differently so that we can get both U-turns in the camera. That would be cool. So we're going to get set up, we're going to get going, and we're going to have some fun. Check in later. Check out our course. It's all set up. Exercise 1, smooth stops and smooth starts. We've got a great crew here today. We've got our North Carolina ambassador for Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle. Mike and I are the Florida ambassadors for Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle. So we're going to get started with exercise 1 and have a little bit of fun today. On the first one, I mess up.
So we always follow the same sequence of exercises, 1 through 9. We never skip 1 because exercise number 2 depends on what we practice and warm up on and learn in exercise 1. And 3 depends on 1 and 2, etc. So exercise 1 here is the beginnings of clutch, friction point, proper throttle, proper RPMs, load it and keep it loaded, and a little bit of rear drag on the rear brake just as we stop. It's really nuanced, but I'm telling you, it is a lot more difficult apparently than it looks. We have a lot of new people that struggle with this. So it's keeping the engine at a stronger RPM, let's say 1800, 2000, working with the clutch friction point so you're not slamming the clutch open and slamming the clutch closed, and you're leaving the clutch in the friction point just a little bit, just as you stop. You're not having it fight. And then the brake will win and you drop your foot. Again, I want to beat the point. The newer riders have a really difficult time with this, like seasoned riders. I mean, newer people that aren't used to doing this particular exercise. Bring the bike to a nice smooth stop, then you drop your foot. You don't see foot hopping, you don't see foot hopping on the takeoff. This looks very basic, but these truly are advanced slow speed motorcycle skills. Here's Andy, our North Carolina ambassador. Andy is very well versed in the slow speed operations of Robert Simmons exercises 1 through 9. He's also done a number of advanced, I guess, further advanced or different slow speed motorcycle operations training courses, lock and lean, and a number of other like motor officer training. So Andy's very advanced at these exercises. The interesting thing is when someone comes to our practice sessions that is really, really good, we all get like materially better immediately. It's a weird dynamic, but it happens every single time. This is Warren. Warren comes down from Melbourne. He also has a Road King, Police Edition Road King 2018. Lori's is a 2015. Oops. Everybody gets it off every once in a while. This is the initial exercise. These people are experienced in these exercises, but still, everyone's got to warm up. So another benefit of exercise 1 is it gets us all a little warmed up, gets us used to the bike, the friction point, etc., etc. Here's Fred. The idea too is we want to have that front tire stopping right at the cone. So we are teaching understanding of front wheel placement. For any people new to the channel watching this for the first time, it's important that everyone understands we are not having the motorcycle fight with itself. We're not loading up the throttle, loading up the brake, loading up the clutch, and power braking the whole time. These are slight inputs that allow the motorcycle to maintain itself without getting wobbly or falling over at slow speeds.
Exercise 2 is the slow ride.
The slow ride is really the same exercise as exercise 1, smooth stops and smooth starts, without the stops. It's just smooth operation from the beginning to the end. This teaches us no rear brake on this one, so this teaches us more clutch control, how to maintain the bike at extremely slow speeds with just a little bit of engagement in that clutch friction point, in and out of that friction point to keep it under power.
Sorry if I was talking while you had Andy going, because Warren didn't know what exercise we were doing.
Easy to do.
Okay, here's Rich in his fat boy.
Maybe try
that he has named Shithead. Everyone's got their own name for their motorcycle, but I think it's a reference to the movie The Jerk. Anyway, Rich is very good at this exercise. Watch how slow he's going. We want to go slow enough where our handlebars, we're needing to correct with our handlebars. So that's really the kind of the test on speed here. Also, if anyone has the song Slow Ride by Foghat come to mind when we're doing this exercise, I want to know you a little bit better. See Mike's handlebars correcting. Always correcting. That means he's going plenty slow enough. Mike's really good at this. He's not holding one spot in the clutch. The dexterity required to do this really well in the clutch is takes some practice.
That's all right. We got a little downhill there, so. Yep, yes sir.
No brakes.
See how close Andy is? Look at him moved up. All right. Now you're gonna slow down and.
There's a little bit of a decline, so it goes down. You can't really go slow.
So see
You
how
have to
that
wait till it
engages?
goes up, and then you go
Very, very
slow.
good with that. A lot of correction because it's going so slow. Yeah, look at that. Very good. He's really at idle working with that clutch too. Nice job. Nice job, Andy. These guys are good. Everybody's super slow on the slow ride. Warren's off his brake, so no brake.
Also teaches if the bike starts to come offline a little bit,
Very nice.
it's teaching us to let that clutch out and not just pull the clutch in and stop and put our feet down. So Warren get a little loose there, and he just corrected it
Beautiful,
and kept
Warren,
going.
beautiful.
So far, we haven't woken up the people in the camper.
Here's Fred.
Exercise 2, slow ride.
You want that friction zone to be a
Doesn't look like much is happening, but there's a lot going on here just around that clutch friction point, and making sure that to the greatest extent possible the bike is moving in a straight line forward. So a lot of correction happening with the handlebars and that clutch engagement.
Andy with round 2. And then a smooth stop at the end. Beautiful. Exercise 3, trust and believe. I just didn't want to do it on a hill.
Well, it's just in the sunlight. What up?
Trust and believe is such a critical exercise. What it teaches us very specifically is when we start to feel uh-oh, and the bike is gonna feels a little tippy, if you will, it's teaching us the habit of letting the clutch out as opposed to pulling the clutch in and dropping our feet.
All right, you ready for me?
So
to
this
follow? What up?
exercise is getting the bike properly powered, getting the clutch to just before the friction point. We're at the command, we're picking up our left foot, and we're feeling the motorcycle start to tip. And as it starts to tip, that's when we let the clutch out. It can be unnerving. It can be nerve-wracking for people who've never done it. But once you get it, and once you start to learn that, it serves you countless times in any other exercises and on the road. Now, this is the one exercise that Robert says he does not want us to practice this on the road for obvious reasons. When it starts to tip, we're getting that clutch right to the friction point and bring our foot up and let that clutch out. It looks really smooth when experienced people are doing it. Here's Fred.
Here. To the brake. Find that friction point. Do a little bit inside of it.
Foot up. And a smooth stop.
Fred likes it.
Great. Here comes Andy. Just give me a nod when you're ready. Foot up. Awesome.
Absolutely essential practice.
Go ahead. Ready?
We have to trust and believe that the motorcycle will stay up under sufficient power.
Awesome. And a smooth stop. Wonderful.
Okay, exercise 4, left and right turns, starting always with left turns for some reason. This exercise uses what we learned in exercises 1, 2, and 3, except now we're simply turning. A lot of people miss that. We're not doing something new or something fancy. It's exactly what we did in 1, 2, and 3, but we're just turning those handlebars a little bit to make that turn. I'm a little wide in that. So again, just a little on the tactics here. We're managing the correct speed, a slow speed as we're approaching. We do not want so much speed that we have to lean the bike to make the turns. We go very, very slow, working on the slow ride as we move up. A little rear brake drag, head and eyes always turn toward the camera, turn to the direction where we're going. Turn those handlebars. The motorcycle, the objective here is the motorcycle is straight up and down. It is not turning. Sometimes it falls over. And that's okay. Robert says that exercise 4 has the highest failure rate, meaning that it tips over or people will ride out of the exercise, just knock the cones over and ride out of the exercise. What happened with Andy is what happens with many riders is they lose the RPMs, they lose the power as you begin that turn. As you start to let the clutch out and turn the motorcycle, that will slow you down, requiring a little more power from the throttle. If that power from the throttle is not provided, it'll stall and tip over. Really important to maintain the proper power. Okay, let's talk about what's happening in the exercises here. So I'm off my balance, I blow this thing completely. I'm trying to go slow, and you counter sit when you do this. Sometimes when I counter sit too far to the right, it kind of pulls me to the right. See Andy very good, going very, very slow. The objective is we want to make that turn and come down that lane right in the middle. So Mike waits a little too long to start that turn. He makes it inside the lane, which is great. Mike always waits too long to make that turn. That's what he's working on. See Warren starts it early, just misses the cone, brings it down the center. Look at that, beautiful. Nice approach speed. Lori made the turn, turn a little early, caught that cone. Lori is practicing brakeless. So when she's brakeless, and she's also practicing hugging the inside, so you got to be a little, it's a level up, a little bit better. So most of us go a little too far on the outside of the lane here. I went a little too far as well. Trying to work really slow speed and make that turn as straight up as possible. So again, Mike waits too long to turn. We are pretending, we're imagining that we're on a very soft gravel road. So we can afford no lean at all. See, Warren just brings it around in a way that has him right in the middle of that lane. Really nice. Lori's working on her no brake. When you have no brake, it's harder. Like it's harder to make that turn. It's really good practice. Ooh, just nudges the cone. Andy's working on being fancy. Here's Rich and the fat boy kicking the cone into place. Look at the head and eyes. Really great. man, it might look easy. It's not super easy to do, to start that thing. To start that maneuver when your head and eyes are turned completely away from your motorcycle. I'm really working on that. So it's a little bit of a level up to start with your wheel so far forward. I'm trying to practice that, and looks like I'm going to make it.
I don't mean to be doing that, but
I don't know why I do that.
happened, I guess. Not the drill, not the technique.
So he needs to turn right now, and he waits a little long. Clears the cone, man. Mike rarely knocks the cones over, but we're just, these are, as Robert says, first world problems. We're trying to get it right down the middle. These are just little tweaks. Warren, in his motorcycle, he has named Ghost. Excellent. Here's Lori on her 2017 Street Glide Special named Sugar. It's a white metal flake, beautiful bike. Crushed ice pearl. Lori makes it right to the outside edge, but makes it inside the lane. Beautiful thing about Andy's practice bike here is, it might look good in the video, but that dude has some bumps and bruises, so it's awesome, man. You can drop it, tip it, doesn't matter. Not gonna hurt it. So the rules are the same on the right, but it's really easy to get the visual here. As you're taking a right turn, we're imagining that we're turning on a two-lane road, and the oncoming traffic just on the other side of our far cones there is traffic coming toward us, trucks and cars at great speed. So it's really important as we're taking this turn to not run it wide and go into the oncoming traffic for obvious reasons. So first one we're rolling through. Rich does a really nice job. He's got that clutch, that clutch friction point. A little bit of rear brake drag. He's got that going on. Rights are better than lefts for Rich. So I waited a little too long. I didn't quite have my the right feeling to start that sooner. Waited too long and got a little bit close to that oncoming traffic. See, look at that. See, Warren, as soon as he starts the turn, he goes full lock, and that makes a lot of difference. Like when you commit to the turn, you just need to turn. And a lot of times you got to turn and maintain that focus on the clutch friction point. They get that full lock turn and people will pull in that clutch a little bit, and then you're done for. Really nice. That was really nice. Right down the middle, Mike. Look at that. I don't even think Andy's sitting on the seat. Looks like he's sitting on the tank. I guess you're supposed to do that when you're doing the advanced stuff. Right down the middle. Oh, and a trust and believe. Beautiful. Here's Fred. Come on, Fred. Oh, I was hugging that cone a little bit. Fred and I did not make it around.
It's all good practice. It's all good practice, even picking them up. Yeah.
Warren cuts it quickly.
I see that.
Right in between. Really nice. So it's a group of advanced riders here. We don't have any new people in this particular session. Not sure what happened there. Maybe Laura was going brakeless. Rich working on a slow speed all the way through. We're also practicing on our friction brake stops, like a nice powered stop, as is the exercise 1, smooth stops and smooth starts. Like every bit of this incorporates everything that we've done before. Too many times we see learning exercise 1 and then folks will run into 4 and just like use old habits to run up to the cones and stop, put both feet down, etc. Not the exercise. Yeah, Andy's got it standing up here, nicely done, right down the middle. That's the intent right there. Orange a little wide, but comes right through. So Mike, head and eyes needs to be better. Just to look, so he runs it a little wide. Into an oncoming dump truck. Lori rolling it, looks like brakeless. Nice.
I just leaned a little bit.
Head and eyes, Rich does a nice job with that.
Yeah, it's easy when you lean.
Friction brake, practicing.
Fred.
Stop.
Come on, Fred. Oh. Sometimes it's just a little wobbly and you got to hold it up. But that's good practice, good clutch control, good brake control. Nothing to it for Andy. Except he has a hard time keeping that thing running. Stalls quite often throughout the practice session. So Warren gets the launch here. Did you see that? Kind of lurched a little bit forward. That's a really important point, is to get these things moving. You got to get them into the friction zone a little bit more and then right away pull it back in. This is a problem that newer practitioners have with any of these slow speed maneuvers. They let that they think the clutch is like an on-off switch. It's either all the way out or all the way in, and it provides way too much speed or way too little power. Lori bringing sugar around nicely. Rich telling Shithead where to go, and it does exactly what it's told. Fred don't care. Uh-oh, a little fanciness. Go. All in the practice. See, that's Andy's so super good at it. He's working on some nuanced stuff, but that gets to hopping. Exercise 5, the single serpentine. This is the first exercise of the 9 that introduces lean, some leaning. Up until 5, we are straight up and down. So we're gently introducing leaning. This is an advanced group. Following the instructions of start wide and stay wide. We're bunching up a little bit because it's fun, but you can still see the intention behind the exercise here. So our head and eyes are to be straight. Our head and eyes are not looking down, they're not looking at the cones. What's happening here is they're tightening up the cones, bringing them together a little bit. Motor officer distance is 12 feet. We started with 15, now it's at 12. So start wide, stay wide. We're getting nice lean angle. That's all right, she catches one of them, but really good practice. Eyes forward, everything facing forward, bikes moving side to side. Think of the practical application here when you're on the road, even at much greater speed than this, and there is an obstacle in the road. How do you get comfortable maneuvering that bike around any obstacle that you might want to avoid? A pothole, who knows, a turtle, an animal, some debris, one of these seemingly ever-present blown out truck tires. If you can get around them, you want to have the skills to do it, and you want to practice those skills in parking lots, not on the road when you're having a oh crap moment.
Yeah, that's not bad. No.
So everybody's pretty good at this. You can see Mike needs to be a little bit wider, so we want to go start wide, stay wide. The idea is maintain that same, just like all the other ones, maintain that throttle, maintain some power, and you're working with that clutch friction point. You can up-level this and go brakeless. Personally, I was going brakeless on the 15, have a hard time on the 12 going brakeless. I think Lori and Warren will do that brakeless. Andy, as usual, emphasizing the point of start wide, stay wide. He's going real wide. He's coming back to get him. Loves that lean, sitting way forward. Lori looking good, nice and wide. Nice deep leans. Doing what the bike was intended to do. It's a big mental block a lot of people have with riding motorcycles, is getting them to lean. They're made to lean. Transition speed is something we're picking up here a little bit that we'll use in future exercises. All of them, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Here we're just beginning transition speed. See, I get a little slow with that. I actually missed that last one. I need work on transition speed. Everyone looks really good here. Maybe share in the comments, what's your own personal practice structure look like? What's your skill level? What do you feel like your skill level is if you were to encounter something on the road where you would need to perform a maneuver like this? Does this represent a certain level of fear so you don't want to practice this? Or are you like, hey man, this is no problem. I can get around this. I could perform these new maneuvers easily. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and we can simulate some more group conversation in our community.
Up and go the opposite way first. That's going to mess us up.
Starting with the right U-turns this time. Most of the time we start with lefts. But just so we are all clear on what we're looking at, the end-to-end cones, the widest cones, are 27 feet. The near cones are 18 feet. So we see Lori and Andy doing 18 foot. I did about an 18 and a half foot as I smash a couple of cones there. But the idea is we want to be somewhere in between the 18 and the 27 foot marks, like just what Rich did, exactly that. Because a 2-lane country road is about 24 feet. So we want to be able to teach practical applications here, and we're showing the ability to negotiate a U-turn on the average country road that's 24 feet wide. With these skills, we don't have to continue down the road when we have to turn around and look for a parking lot or look for some place to take a big right turn and then do some kind of walk around 3-point thing and then turn around. You can be fearless in our U-turn ability. Andy's a little radical. He's up there in his skill level a little bit, so he's gonna do some pretty wild looking stuff. But generally speaking, we're looking for smooth, small inputs and nice smooth U-turns. Same as with the right and left turns, we're looking for head and eyes to go first. You're always looking where we're gonna go with the motorcycle. Where we look, our motorcycle goes. There's also a safety application as well. Obviously, we're pulling out into a road. We want our head and eyes to go first. so we can make sure the traffic in the roadway is clear before we just accelerate and swoop it into a big turn and dump ourselves out into the road. Andy's bike stalling out again. I had a hard time on the U-turns, Fred and I today. We kept clipping these. That's a decent 18. But my charge here, my practice is to start that turn right away. I end up swooping it. Like I don't start the turn right away. Same with Mike. A little hesitant to get into that turn and into that lean. See, Warren starts it right away. Look at that. Probably 16 foot.
Okay, yeah. I believe it.
Yep, good, head and eyes, great lean. Just makes it in the 18, that's beautiful. Just what you want. Fred's a little long. It's funny, some days, look at that. Hold on a minute. He was dragging that thing and just clutched it out. That's trust and believe. He did put his foot down, so I can't say it was perfect, but he clutched that thing right out of there. Beautiful head and eyes, great turn. Beautiful U-turn, smooth stop. So we're looking for Andy's head and eyes. Is he going to bring it over? Super tight U-turn. See, Mike's taking way too long to start that U-turn. Wow, he still makes it on the 18. But look at the white line in the middle of the 18-foot lane. You want to be, yeah, blow it again. You want to be just as leaned and into the turn in the first half when you cross that center white line as the second half. And that is not usually the case with me, so I'm working on that. Watch Warren get right into it. As soon as he starts moving, he drops in. Yeah, see, nice. Take some clutch control, some friction point control, because as you lean it, you're kind of catching it with the clutch, pulling yourself up and out of it. Yep, beautiful, smooth, all smooth. Lori and Sugar. I don't know what Mike has named his BMW. I'm not sure he names this bike. It's probably Hans or some German name. I don't know. Hans Gruber, I think probably. Here comes Fred. See, I'm leaning it down a little bit, and then I make it. I just love it. It's just practice, right? You just take in your reps, trying new things, and then you get something that works, and you nail that thing into habit. Beautiful right U-turn on Warren's part. All right, on to the lefts. You can also do the left from that line where Mike is now and just kind of shoot for inside that white center point there. That's all good. Andy taking the hard 18. No problem. Fred and I had some trouble. See, that was going too slow. You get too slow, you can't get leaning. And if you can't really lean, you're not really going to cut a nice narrow U-turn. The Harleys can do straight up an 18-foot U-turn, just turning it. But we're looking to incorporate a bit of lean here and the proper amount of speed. Mike's counter sitting there. You see that? You really counter set on that one. Got his butt over to the right as he takes that left turn. So I'll try to get over as well. See that? Yep. Get down, Fred. smooth as a jazz musician that Warren is. Or he just makes it. See, I'm telling you that counter sitting makes a difference. Watch how Mike sits off to the right. I try to really sit off to the right. Before I figured out how to sit off to the right or counter sit, I could not do an 18-foot U-turn. Well, that was the key for me. Further I get, the better it goes for me. Always something to get better at. Head and eyes, not awesome on that last one I did. It's hard to see at such a distance, but it's really easier to see on the turns. But it looks like Warren gets his head around nicely. Now I'm just working with Andy a little bit. He wanted me to follow him through and do a couple of U-turns, kind of follow the leader here, do what I do. So you can give me some pointers. He's trying to help. It's great. He wanted me to get right up behind him. I don't love that usually, but I was trying to work with him. Trying to be a good student. Yeah, I'm getting it okay. Sometimes I just get into a little bit of a funk. I don't know. Then you remember what you forgot, and you can do an effective U-turn. Again, would love to hear in the comments, what's your comfort level with U-turns? 27s, 24s, 18s? Are you the kind of rider that when you need to turn around, you're looking for a parking lot or some way to do multiple right-hand turns or left-hand turns so you can get around to where you need to go? Or are you comfortable just knocking out the U-turn? Would love to hear your experience. Continuing on with the exercises, number 7 is the figure 8. So we're again incorporating everything we've learned up to making smooth, effective transitional U-turns, a right U-turn here, and holding it even longer, and then a left U-turn there. Is that making sense? So it's like an extended U-turn. So she starts a U-turn here. Typically we'd come out right here, but you hold it, and then transition quickly to begin the other extended U-turn. So it's a figure 8. Lori does quite good with it. Knocks out a little U-turn on the other U-turn course. So from the lower view, you can see the width that we're shooting for is 2 parking spaces wide. So that's 18, 19 feet on a U-turn. Inside of the white line to the inside of the white line in this parking lot is 9.5 feet. But it's encouraged for newer practitioners to just use all the real estate, as the saying goes. Really important simply to follow the shape intended. A nice figure 8, holding that line, transitioning, smooth moves, small inputs. So Andy's way inside the 2 parking spots, as you can see. 17, 18-foot U-turns back to back.
Great. Yeah.
So you're flexing the clutch friction point, you're flexing the throttle in order to maintain the proper a smooth and steady and consistent power to the rear wheel throughout this exercise. It's really an important point. You're not just holding it in one spot, because the movement of the motorcycle is demanding a slightly different inputs, slightly different. So as you're into the deep part, the apex of that turn, you need a little more power, a little more clutch, a little more throttle. You might not know that to listen to the bikes run, because it sounds like they're running at just the exact same RPM. Warren just doing a little circle there before he exits. Not about speed in this exercise. I don't know that I've never heard Robert say anything about speed in any of these exercises. Just enough, sometimes if we're going too slow, enough speed to get some lean going, but not concerned about doing these figure eights fast, just doing them effectively. Head and eyes, Mike is always excellent at that. Here's Lori and Sugar. Lori works on this brakeless quite often. Not a huge difference for something like this, but it does make a difference. Typically, we're just using that rear brake to shave off some speed, which you don't have as available to you. So you got to really make sure that you're proper into the clutch friction point and the throttle. Quick transitions. You can see Andy shifting his weight from the right to the left.
After you go, you want to do multiple bikes in one?
Nicely done.
One? We'll do larger circles.
Warren joining Lori in the figure eight. Just a little bit of an added fun. No real reason for this other than just make it a little bit more challenging. Pay closer attention. Try to follow the line. Just makes it a little more fun. Warren got it tight there. Wow, yeah, Warren knocking out those tight U-turns. Beautiful. But here's Fred. Transition speed is what I'm always working on. So hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Get those handlebars out. Shift the weight over, get the handlebars out. Still looks pretty slow, but quicker than I was. So a little bit better every time we practice. As you watch this maneuver, would love to hear in the comments your feelings on that's something that's easily doable, or that's something that I could never do in a million years. Does it seem too far away, or does it seem too remedial? Love to hear your comments and how you would approach something like this in the real world. Man, my rights are significantly tighter than or wider than my lefts. Exercise 8, the offset double serpentine. This incorporates really just large S turns, not entirely dissimilar to half of the figure eight. So we're pinning together. Imagine cutting each figure eight in half and taping it on top of the other one, right? So we're big S turn, big S turn. So the deal here, the practice, the focus is transition speed. and holding the turn. So you're holding it. Watch as I go left. I want to hold it, then transition. So you see I'm going away from the next gate. I'm going away from the next gate, then transition through the gate. Really an essential practice. So we're just doing nice sweeping moves where the challenge is holding it. People just don't, there's something psychological about this exercise that just has people focused on the next set of cones. They go straight to the next set of cones and then they blow the angles in order to keep going in the exercise. So Mike does a nice job with this. He's holding it. You see that? Critically important. We like to tell people, imagine you're pulling a trailer. So you have to kind of take a wide angle through. You want to hit these cones, this gate, at least going straight, ideally headed toward the next gate as he's holding it. Working on a nice tight U-turn here. Same focus on proper RPMs, loading it and keeping it loaded so that power is always there when you need it through the clutch friction point. Again, you are moving that clutch friction point based on the needs and the angle of the bike. Head and eyes looking forward, nice smooth turns. Beautiful. As we watch Andy go through this exercise, would love to hear in the comments, what kind of a rider are you? Are you a solo rider that likes short trips and just running down to restaurants or bars or the store on the weekends? Or do you enjoy the big, long road trips? And where do you see these skills as being beneficial to you in your particular style of riding?
Right there. You turn over there. And then go back.
Andy is obviously skilled here. Making it around, holding the turns. There is a level up here that we don't have in place in this particular practice session where we move the cones in tighter, so it's a little bit more challenging. But this is excellent practice on holding those nice sweeping S turns, working with the weight of the bike, working with the throttle and the clutch. Very smooth. That's what you want. You don't see a lot of speed changes. You're not seeing RPM changes. That's the exercise right there. It's not fancy. He's not slamming it. He's not swooping it. Nice smooth. You don't even see tremendous lean angles here. He's not dragging his boards. He's just making it work. Yeah, really nice. It's just about perfect.
I'm going to try that one brakeless. I need more work on my brakeless work.
For any female riders watching this, as we watch Lori do this exercise, what's there for you as it compares to seeing a woman do these exercises to a man doing these exercises? Does it seem harder or easier for a woman to do these? Love to hear your opinion. Love to hear your comments. Lori typically does this one brakeless. She's a nice lean angle, also really smooth. So not a lot of fits and starts and fasters and slowers. She's just making it nice, smooth transitions, nice smooth turns. Really well done.
Looks like Mike's leaving.
So again, just for fun, Lori running through with Warren, getting some reps in. It really makes a difference, at least when I'm doing it and someone's right behind me. What I tend to do is chop off the hold it part, chop off the yes turn, make it more straight, which is good practice. Want to stay focused on what you're doing. In the real world, you got to stay focused on the operation of the motorcycle and not who's behind you or who's in front of you. This time Andy wants in the fun, and off they go on the down and back with better camera angles on this run. It's funny, it looks so slow from up high, and it doesn't feel like you're going that slow when you're maneuvering around the cones. Looks good. 3 skilled slow speed operators. Maybe taking a solo run, getting some speed up. Good practice. See, deep into the leans, deep into the hold it, hard transitions. Nice job. Flick it, hard transition. Right through. The final exercise of the day is exercise 9, the abominable snowman, or just the snowman. This is a series of 4 circles from larger to smaller. The top of the snowman is an 18-foot circle, which is markedly more challenging than an 18-foot U-turn. So the instruction here is to hold the line on the cones, hug the cones, that is. So using the whole circle on every one of them as it gets smaller and smaller. We're practicing. This is where front tire placement comes in. Remember, we practiced that in exercise 1 and 2, really all of them. Where is our front wheel? In the placement on that top of the snowman is critically important, just because your margin for error is so much smaller. So Lori gets it really close. She's really good with the wheel placement. You get that right, it's just easier to make the turn, that's all. Almost everyone cuts that too early, myself very much included. You start that 18-foot too soon, and the other side just seems impossible. There's Lori showing off a little bit her advanced skills to be able to go around. Once is good, 2 or 3 times is remarkable control. One of the keys, of course, is to maintain the proper speed, the correct speed. Not too fast, not too slow, like the Goldilocks speed, right? Gotta be just right. Given your lean angle, and you're making sure that the engine has proper power, right? Power to the rear wheel, sufficient power to the rear wheel, and the right clutch point. See, even Lori doesn't get it right, and it just comes out of there. So the wisdom there is that Lori didn't try to force it over, which we all do sometimes. You know, you kind of get a bad entry into that circle and you try to force it over, and typically what happens is you drop it. So Lori was early on that one. Looks like she still might have made it though, really close. So she checks up, it's hug 'em, commit.
The right side just kills me. Yep.
We're taking it from a different angle. We want to get comfortable going from both sides, and that's what happened. So a little bit deep in the turn, probably a little bit too fast. And when you're going faster, you have to have more of a lean, and there's only so far you can lean before you start hitting hard parts, as we say. And here's Andy. He is experienced and very skilled at these, so he can do that top of the Snowman without really much margin for error, so he's well inside of that. So we learn from those that are better than us. Honestly though, what we see with Andy is his RPMs are quite low. And why that is, I honestly don't know, and I don't think that's on purpose. I think that's something he's looking to improve on, is to keep that bike under a little more power as he's negotiating those tighter maneuvers.
Because he is able to lean over so much. His turn is so tight. I try to make my tight turn, and I drag so hard that I lose the foundation.
So at this point, we popped up, Andy brought some bigger cones, so we popped up a few bigger cones. This is about as big a cone as you want to use in these kind of tight maneuvers. That is to say, if you're in an apex of a turn, if you're in a turn where you're leaning and you have forward pressure on that front tire, you don't want cones to be too big that you can catch them on the base of the cone and have it slide out your tire. But these cones you can see a little bit better. It doesn't really matter if you run them over, it's not going to wipe you out. But that was Andy's observation, is it's hard to pick up the cones with those little tiny flat ones. So right there you can see Warren started that turn really super early. So he wasn't able to make that next, the far side of that. It's hugging them. So get that front tire right on the cones and commit to that turn. I struggle with that particularly. Once I figured out how to place my front tire where it should be, it's the commit. It's that pushing it over. See, I cut off that one. That's no good. I got to hug him at the beginning of the turn. So I'm counter sitting. You can see that. That's helpful for me. Maybe helpful for most riders. So I'm too early here. I'm way early there. I did not hug him. I got one caught under my bike here.
Your wheel placement was off.
Wheel placement is everything. Placement, hug 'em, commit. It's a little bit nuanced, but as you can see at the beginning of this turn, right there, so that's important, is that you go forward a little bit and make sure you're hugging them the whole way. I'm actually going to take that. I mean, I was inches away. Not a clean run by any means, but I had good wheel placement. That's key. Really good practice. And also what's really good practice here is to make sure that you're not having the bike fight against itself. Too high RPMs, too much brake, etc., etc. So still a little early on that turn, but that one was clean, at least on the top of the Snowman. We lose the camera here for a second, but yeah, see, good placement. Comes around nicely. Yep, good placement. Gotta lean it right in, bring it out. Yep, good job, Mike. Good job, Fred. These skills are perishable. When Warren first started practicing, oh, there we go. So again, spun that out, got a little bit low, right? Got a little bit heavy on the turn. When you get too low in the lean, you start to grab like your engine guards and your floorboards.
Up speed, because this is downhill. So you're picking up speed, and when you do more speed, what do you gotta do?
Lean more.
You gotta more lean. And when you do more lean, what happens?
You hit your hard
You
parts.
run out of freaking lean, like I do all the time.
Yep. So too much lean, you're gonna catch some hard parts, and that's gonna actually lever your rear tire off the ground. Warren was fine, just a little bit of a spin out. You know, really that might look scary, but the bikes are set up for it. There's no damage to the bikes at all. So this is just a little bit of extra practice. Andy had come in and set up what's called the keyhole, which, you know, the shape of the thing is the keyhole, obviously, but it's the 18-foot top of the Snowman with an entrance here. So you can't, it's a little bit more challenging because you can't come in at an angle. You have to come in more straight, relatively straight, then negotiate that 18.
Nicely done, nice.
So the challenge there is to get it back straight through that keyhole. So this is a bonus exercise to lean or not to lean. Robert does this one. So the cones are 10 feet apart, I believe. And this is how many can you make through without touching the cones. We have a little fun competition at the end of the day in Robert's practice sessions. So the challenge is, do we not lean the way that Andy's doing it and Lori was doing it? Or do you lean? Like Robert is so good at it, he can actually dip the bike through. Actually, Lori can do that now too with her Road King. But for this exercise, everyone's taking it straight up and down. You know, it looks kind of simple. You're just going straight, but there is a lot to do here. You got to get close to them, and you have to get that. You get those handlebars turned as soon as you make it around. For anyone who's tried this, you can see that these. It's obvious that these riders are pretty darn good at this exercise, and really all of them. Lori struggled with this one a little bit on this day. Oh. Oh, it's hard to bring it back around once you get it pointed so far out.
We are done with, what is it, practice session 58. So we had Andy, our North Carolina Be the Boss of Your Motorcycle ambassador, here with us, helping us stretch a little bit more. It's nice working with different cones too, so we were able to do the keyhole, and we were able to do the to lean or not to lean exercise. Those exercises we typically don't do here. Simply because by the time we're at the end, we're tired. Everybody wants to get out of here. So we're tired. it was a lot today, working on different things, and we had a good time. I think we're going to go get something to eat and enjoy some company. So we will check in on Wednesday at our next practice session. And as always, practice with purpose so you can ride with confidence. And we practice to fear our motorcycles less so we can enjoy the experience of riding more. See you later.
Well, thanks for joining us for another Sebastian practice session. We hope you were able to pick up something useful, either what to do, what not to do, or both. Join us for future practice sessions where we always have new people at every skill level joining us. There's always something new to learn, and where we get just a little bit better every time we practice. Thanks again.